All right, this last video is about Module 59 on prosocial relations. So prosocial relations are obviously positive things, this module is kind of focusing on what causes those feelings and what causes those thoughts and behaviors. So first of all, attraction, friendship, being attracted to somebody as far as I like them, I want to be their friend, as well as romance is based on a few things. First of all, so our attraction is based on, first of all, the mere exposure effect. This is this idea that since you have been exposed to somebody more frequently and more often, the more you like them. This kind of goes along with this idea that some people say that if you, if you are some people say that when you get to know somebody, the more beautiful they become, the more interesting they become, because you're exposed to them more frequently. Another example is like if you're talking about going to class and going to school, the more you see a person, the more you generally like them, or you at least get to know them. So that's one thing. It says this is for Justin Bieber. It says, the more often you see a celebrity or brand, the more likely you are to love them, even when you don't admit it. It's called the mere exposure effect. And this may be why some of today's biggest stars have extremely die-hard fans. They're exposed to them a lot. It says, as a psych major, my idea of a pickup line is, has the mere exposure effect kicked in yet, or do I need to walk in again? That's nice. But it's also based on physical attractiveness, obviously. That makes a difference. It depends on your culture, but generally men are looking for women that are more youthful looking. Women are looking for more men that are healthy. Remember, it kind of goes back to that evolutionary psych as far as, mating and being able to continue a relationship. And so that also relates to this. Says characteristics in a mate preferred by men: physically attractive, young, healthy. The characteristics in a mate preferred by women: high social status, financial resources, ambitious personality, a bit older, more mature, and willing to make more commitments. Notice the women, A, have a longer list, but B, they are these are going to be much more things that are stable, and they're looking for like long-term relationships. Whereas the men, they're looking, for something that is a lot more just physically appealing. And then obviously also the similarity to you. That's also is something that is attractive to people. Is that, do they like the same thing as you? It's actually not proven that opposites attract. It's more like if they're more similar to you, the more likely you are to stay together. So, Shrek and Fiona, when they were ogres, they stayed together. When she was a princess and she was a human, then they weren't likely to stay together. And then lastly, passionate versus compassionate love. So passionate love is this very fiery, intense, and that's why I have this picture here of this heart that's burning. It's very intense. It's very, quick to burn up. Okay, this is usually the beginning of a romantic relationship. You are very passionate and you're all over each other and you can't get enough of each other and, and all over. Compassionate love, on the other hand, is going to be more long-term and more based on respect and understanding. And it says, when asked how they managed to stay together for 65 years, the woman replied, "We were born in the time where if something was broke, you fixed it, not throw it away." So compassionate love is based on this idea that you respect each other, you you appreciate each other. And passionate love can start off a relationship, but it can turn into compassionate love. And compassionate love, basing on a marriage after compassionate love, is actually a better basis for a marriage, and it'll last longer. So compassionate love will increase over time due to a couple of things. So as over time, it's kind of interesting because you can see the compassionate love is the slow building line, and the passionate love is this dotted line. And so what you can see is that, first of all, this is in the first 6 months. So you can see that, first of all, there's a bunch of bumps in here, and it builds way up, and like I said, it burns fast and hot, and then it drops. And notice these are like the danger points of where all of a sudden, you might get bored of each other, and so then that's a danger of that, you might break up. But look at over time. The interesting thing is over time, compassionate love builds by so much more in intensity compared to passionate love, which has this big huge spike in the beginning and then it drops off, and it's just pretty steady, and there's some bumps and rocks along the way, but generally, it's okay. But compassionate love's the one that grows over 60 years. So that's going to actually increase over time. So first of all, it's going to increase due to equity, this idea that you are giving and receiving equally. So you're not constantly taking, but you're also providing things. And so, not going off and expecting, your partner to, do everything, right? You got to give and take. So for example, I use the example of my husband and I, and he is a much better cook than I am. So his thing is that he makes meals, he makes dinners, and he's a really good cook. And with my job, I'm not able to get home in a decent time to be able to make meals, and so he actually does that. And for me, for example, presents, and I have presents as an example for me, he hates shopping. And so my job is to, one of the many things that I do, but one of the things that I do for the family is that, I go and buy the birthday presents or the cards or Christmas or whatever. And we try and go at the same time, but it's not an interest of his. So that's one of the things I do. Also, compassionate love can increase when you have self-disclosure, when you're revealing these intimate aspects of yourself to another. So the more you disclose of yourself, the more and talk about your feelings and what you're thinking, that's actually going to increase this idea of compassionate love over time. So sitting around and talking, it doesn't all have to be hot and intense all the time. Oops, sorry. But those are the main things that build with attraction. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, that's it.